I need some direction. I'm not perfect. Oh, man. Thank you for running point back there. That's awesome. Good job. But often, I say, look, this is a place for imperfect people. If you're expecting perfect people, man, this ain't the place for you because I'm going to mess up. I've already messed up twice. I wore a dirty shirt this morning. It smelled awful working out, setting up. So praise Jesus for polos that are clean. Susan's like, why are you talking? But thank you. You led us to the throne, and then I just ruined it by making jokes. But no, it is so good to be with you today, and to experience God. And man, He's in here, and that's so good to be reminded. So, because sometimes we come in here and we see each other, we get glad that we see each other, but then we kind of, maybe not you, but sometimes I forget God is here, and God is with us, and He wants to be with us, and He loves us, and we are the 99. That He chases the one and leaves the 99 for us. And man, what an incredible thought that God is here, even through the seasons, even through the winter. God is here, and He is carrying us in a lot of ways. And so, man, I want to pray. Kids can be dismissed after prayer, and then man, one of the things I love to do is reflect back on what God has done in our life, in my life. And really, man, one of the things that I have really enjoyed is the moment we're in church planting, in planting this church. And it's been a process. Y'all heard a ton of times, probably. But, man, we started, God started moving in my heart in 2012. And then I officially announced that to anyone, first person ever, in 2014. And it took forever. And then in 2015, we kind of said, okay, we're both on the same map. In August of 2015, we prayed about where we were going to go. We agreed that God was going to plant us, and it turned out to be Austin area. And then, so then December came, and we toured Austin, and then we were here. And then we went back and resigned in February, and not knowing if they'd keep us or leave us, and they kept us. And I remember in June, we were getting ready to leave and move all of our stuff back to Liberty Hill. And man, we had run, we were faithful to tithe, but we were running short of money, and we were like, how are we ever going to move our stuff? We don't have help. We don't have any money. And I remember Susan coming to me and saying, I think if we didn't tithe, we could afford to move, and we could afford to run our stuff. We knew it was going to be somewhere, probably not over 1,000, but somewhere in there. We had no idea. But gas plus, rental and all that stuff, and then rental of the storage unit for all our stuff. And she was like, if we don't pay our tithe, we probably could do that. And I remember hearing God say no to me, and I said no. And at the moment, you're like, oh yeah, that sounds plausible. That sounds like a great idea. Let's do that. You need tires. Yeah, that's a great idea. I need tires. And I said no. We've gone faithful. We've been faithful through this. We're going to be faithful now. He'll provide. And that was in the morning. And when I got home from work, we had a $1,000 check in the mail from somebody who had been at the church when I resigned. One-time visitor, never came back. And she said, I heard God tell me this a long time ago. He told me to do that. I've disobeyed, and now I'm doing it. And that was God working in my life. Today we're going to wrap up our series on summer encounters. And hopefully you continue to encounter Jesus throughout the summer. This week is, we're going to do one that's kind of sketchy, kind of scary. A lot of them aren't that scary. Jesus, they all are. If you're afraid of healings and miracles and stuff, then you're like, if you have a phobia of that, who does? Then maybe it'll be scary. But this one is more on the scarier line. He doesn't have a name in the moment. We could call him Jason or Freddy, but that would just scare me. I don't like scary movies. And so let's just call him that guy. But it's the guy in the cemetery who was demon-possessed. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And God did amazing things in his life, and he was able to watch God work in his life and radically change him for the better. And that's what we've been talking about for the last several weeks, is moments where Jesus walked down the road and encountered people, and they drastically changed their life. And so it's been fun. We're actually going to talk on Mark 5. We've been in this chapter already once through this series. You'd think I'd find a better chapter, but Jesus continually during this chapter meets people and changes their life. And so here we are with this moment, and we're here. And so it's our last one. We're going to read, and so you can throw it up. It's already up there, I'm sure. You can just follow along. I'll say something in between some verses and all that stuff. But it says this. So they arrived at the other side of the lake in the region of some town. And when Jesus climbed out of the boat, a man possessed by an evil spirit came out from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the burial caves and could no longer be restrained, even with a chain. Whenever he was put into chains and shackles, as he often was, he snapped the chains from his wrist and smashed the shackles. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Day and night he wandered among the burial caves and in the hills, howling and cutting himself with sharp stones. So that's just scary. Man, I don't even like cemeteries, and that's just scary. But here he is. He's in the cemetery. Oftentimes I have to correct myself because I went to seminary, and that's much like cemetery for some reason, the same words. And so oftentimes I tell people, hey, I went to seminary in Fort Worth. No, I didn't. I went to seminary. But here we have a psycho guy. I mean, he's nuts. He's psycho, and he is shackled and chained. And when he's not breaking free of chains, he's cutting himself and howling in the night. And it's just nuts. And then verse 6 we have, when Jesus was still some distance away, the man saw him, ran to meet him, and bowed low before him. So here we have a crowd around Jesus like normal. Everybody's crowding around Jesus, walking with Jesus. And this man who's in the cemetery sees him from afar. He's nuts, he's psycho. And he runs to Jesus and he bows at his feet. And I often wonder, why in the world would he do that? And because this guy's nuts, man. And obviously, if you read the chapter, you know ahead, he's possessed by demons. So why would a man possessed by demons run into Jesus' feet and bow at his feet? And here's my thought on that. I think it's because in every person, whether he's strong or not, whether they're hardened or not, they have the desire to have a relationship with Jesus. I think every person is built with a relationship, with a desire to have a relationship with Jesus. A little later, I'll talk about the God-shaped heart and size hole in our life. And I think that is what this man is feeling. He knows that Jesus has power. And he is worthy to be worshipped. He knows who he is, and so he runs because there's enough of him, enough of the guy, to run to Jesus. Because everybody has a desire. And that's kind of where we're at. And we see that. Verse 7, with a shriek he screamed, "Why are you interfering with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In the name of God, I beg you, don't torture me." For Jesus had already said to the spirit, "Come out of the man, you evil spirit." Then Jesus demanded, "What is your name?" And he replied, "My name is Legion, because there are many of us inside this man." Then the evil spirit begged him again and again not to send them to some distant place. There happened to be a large herd of pigs and feeding on the hillside nearby. Send us into those pigs, the spirit begged. Let us enter them. So Jesus gave them permission. The evil spirits came out of the man and entered the pigs, and the entire herd of 2,000 pigs plunged down the steep hill into a lake and drowned in the water. And that's kind of nuts. I mean, if there was YouTube today, we'd all be watching that video. I think that's where they came up with devil ham kind of deal, and all that stuff. And you're like, golly, that's nuts. And oftentimes I wonder, I don't have an answer for this right now. Why did he send them to pigs? Why did he do that? He could have just said, what did he? I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. But that's kind of where we have it. And he did. He chose to just let them go. And then in verse 14, the herdmen fled to the nearby town and the surrounding countryside, spreading the news as they ran. People rushed out to see what had happened. A crowd soon gathered around Jesus, and they saw the man who had been possessed by legions of demons, and he was sitting there fully clothed, perfectly sane, and they were all afraid. Because, let's be honest. That dude's scary. He's howling at night. He's yelling at night. I bet every teenager and young person went in the middle of the night, sat on a hill just to watch him howl and watch him. And there were some not as brave as, I'm not brave enough, but I bet there was somebody who was like, I dare you to go touch him on the shoulder. And somebody ran down, touched him on the shoulder, and ran back and said, I did it. So everyone knows who he is. And yet he's sane, he's perfectly clean, he's dressed. That had to be scary. And he was already scary anyway, so now we have a moment where he's sane, and he's not chained, and he's not howling, he's not gnarling, and whatever it is. And here they are. They've got to be frightened. Because he's in a state of normalcy, and they've never seen that. So everybody knew who he was. And here they are, seeing him different, because Jesus encountered him. 16. For those who had seen what happened to the man and to the pigs had told everyone about it, the crowd began pleading with Jesus to go away and leave them alone. When Jesus got back into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed wanted to go too. Wouldn't you? But Jesus said, no, go home to your friends and tell them what wonderful things the Lord has done for you and how merciful he has been. So the man started off to visit the 10 towns of that region and began to tell everyone about the great things Jesus had done for him. Everyone was amazed at what he told them. So that's our story. That's our encounter. That is in Mark 5, written about Jesus in the Gospels, and here we are. And I realize some of you are like, man, I don't think on spiritual terms like that. I don't believe in demon possession. That's just way out there. I don't think that's true, and I don't think that's real. And man, that's just hard for me to imagine. Man, and here's the thing. Maybe you don't believe in that way. Maybe you're like, yeah, I've seen Satan incarnate. I've seen it. My little brother was horrible, or whatever. But there is real moments in this. When I went to South Africa in 2001, I went with a bunch of people and I played guitar, and I hardly ever do that in front of people anymore. But I went and was part of the worship band, and so I got to go and have fun. But I walked the streets, and we had prayer at night, worship at night, and this lady came up and needed to pray. And man, she was rough and man, gnarly and just rough. And me and another guy started praying with her, and every time we would talk and pray about when we would pray Jesus over her, she would wrench up and like go into convulsions. And it was really, really strange. And so we just started praying Jesus over her, for Jesus to heal her. We knew something was wrong. And through the middle of it, through that, like she came to this moment where you imagine you've heard it all. You hear those moments where you've talked to people and they're like, it's just weird, intense moment, and then it's gone. And that's what happened. It was, man, we were Jesus Christ, be over her, and the Lord, just Jesus, just be with her. And she's wrenching up and painting up and rolling her eyes back and kind of just being loud. And then it was just, it was like she was a new person, just healed. And it was really a weird moment. And for that, and that trip was really where I got to know God and the power of God and just what he could do and his love for people. But that was a moment that caught my eye because I'd never experienced anything like that. And oftentimes, when you go on mission trips across seas, you experience that, and they are more apt to understand spiritual battle than we are. We don't, and we don't see it because for whatever reason we don't. But here is a real moment where Jesus encounters a demon-possessed man and puts healing on his life, and that can happen here, and it happens today. And the thing, maybe you're not possessed by a demon. Probably none of us are, but we're possessed by something. A lot of times something captures our attention. Something has our attention. But maybe it's not our attention. Maybe it's a habit. Maybe it's an addiction. Maybe it's not truly a full-on drug addiction. Maybe it's some other addiction. Maybe it's jealousy or greed or envy or lust or whatever it is. But we have things that grip us and pull us away from Jesus. And what I want to do today is I want to talk about those things and talk about just the road to freedom. And maybe you're like, I've already been free. Great. I'm just going to sit here and not listen. No, it's a good reminder because sometimes we can easily get gripped back into that grip of bondage and not be free of what God has done in our life. And maybe you're here and you're like, man, I do have bondage, and you know what it is. You thought of it immediately. You thought about oh, this problem in my life, I can't ever get rid of it. Or maybe you've had, man, the worst kind of affliction done to you by someone else, and you just can't get through that. And man, that's a horrible thought, horrible thing that I don't even like to talk about, but as a pastor, I want you to know it's okay. And I think God can continue to heal you, because he doesn't want us. Because sometimes we can remove ourselves from the pain and the addiction, but we never really remove ourselves from the shame of it or the guilt of it. And we never move our mentality away from it. And we're never truly free. And the only thing that will really bring change in life is Jesus. The only thing that it is, whatever it is, Jesus brings that. And what I want to do is give you 3 things, simple things that really could help me. Even if we're following on the road to Jesus, we have slippage. We have sin in our life. We have moments where we run back to things that fill our life that aren't Jesus. And so, here's the first one. And there, you may already thrown it up there, but embrace the facts about your pain. What you're going through right now, I don't care what it is, you're not alone. If you're going through something, you're not the only one that's ever been through it. You know, and the thing that I love about this is to think of it this way, because oftentimes we think, man, we're the only ones that are going through this. We're the only ones that experience this. I can't shake this addiction. I can't even make my marriage right. I can't handle this moment in my life, and I'm the only one going through it. But no, you're not. No, you're not. And there are other people that go through it, and God is with you. God sees you. He's never up there. He's never up there in heaven. He goes, hold up. What in the world? I've never seen that before. Holy moly, I don't know what to do with that. He never does that. He's seen every person on this planet walk through life, and he's seen messes and mistakes, and he's seen problems and hurts and pain, and he still knows how to handle it. He's never surprised. And so embrace your pain. That's hard sometimes. Because there's some true pain that happens in our life. There's some true pain that happens, and man, and I know it, and you watch the news and you see it, and you hang with people long enough, and you're going to hear their hurts and their pains, and you talked about that in therapy and having to hear their deepest, darkest secrets, and man, there's pain in that. Maybe you've walked through pain. I don't know. But here's the thing. Jesus can handle your pain. Jesus can handle it. But oftentimes, every one of us likes to hide. We all have masks. We all like to put a facade on, like our family is great. I mean, I want my kids to wear shoes every Sunday morning and behave themselves, and yet I can't get them to. And I'm not going to try to mask it. I'm trying to. We're trying to learn them. He came in here and he's like, Daddy, I took my shoes off because they're soaking wet. I was like, that's fine. He's in flip-flops. They could be dry and they could be on his feet now. But you get the point. Like we try to hide it. We can't hide from God. He's never surprised. We can't hide from God. He knows our pain. He knows where we're at and what we want. And so here's what I want you to think about. That pleasure or pain that you run to, that pleasure, that addiction, whatever it is that you run to, and for so many of us, it's different. It's greed, it's jealousy, it's lust, it's envy, it's alcohol or drugs, or whatever it is that you run to find satisfaction. And maybe it's not even bad. Maybe it's just TV, Facebook, Google, Golf Clash, whatever it is. Maybe that's it. What are you running to fill that satisfaction, to try to find that rest that you have in life, that you just have this moment of self-fulfilled pleasure that's false, that doesn't last, that you run to all the time because it never lasts? Here's what I want you to think about that. It's true in the demon-possessed guy. The reason why he ran to Jesus is because he has a God-sized hole in his body, in his life. It's kind of like a vacuum. It's only filled by one thing, but yet we continually try to shove it down and put it in and put lust and whatever we try to put into our heart and into our life. And as I prepared for this, I had to really evaluate my own life. And man, it was hard because I often, I go to my phone and I plug it with just time, or I play games, or I don't read enough, and I'm doing other things that fill my time that really don't fill my satisfaction with Jesus. Nothing fulfills me. I've gotten to the end of the day, maybe for you, like, I'm just not fulfilled. When I get there, I realize, because I've done it without God, and I need to fill it with Jesus. And that's the same for you. It doesn't matter who it is, painful or non-painful. You have a size, God-shaped size in your life that can only be filled by Jesus. You can't fill it with anything else. And so if you're pain and you're hurt, man, here's what I want to tell you. Embrace your pain. Turn to Jesus. In the morning, start with prayer. Open up your Bible and spend a minute or two reading. Ask God, what would you have me to do today? Admit your pain. Admit where your failure is. And listen to him. And let him love on you and fulfill you, and then pray. Thank him for who he is. Man, I bet you if you do that and you continually do that, you'll find yourself moving away from the fulfillments that lead to no pleasure and finding great joy and pleasure in him. And that's the truth. The second thing is remove yourself from bondage. Remove yourself from bondage. This seems simple, but it's pretty difficult. I think this is often, both of these, is admitting your pain and removing yourself from bondage is much like, for me, starting a diet. Man, it's hard to get off sugar. Y'all ever tried to get off sugar? Holy moly, it's hard. Like, man, how does it have to be this hard? Like, I just want some cookies. Just give me some cookies. And what I found and what I've learned, and maybe this isn't true for you, but what I've learned is our bodies are shaped for fruit sugar instead of that other stuff. And if you will put fruit sugar in your life, you won't have those desires. And so, man, it's hard at first. Every diet's hard at first. This is too. Admitting the pain, man, that's scary. That's frightening. Finding somebody to say, I have this issue. I have this pain. I have this problem. And really just start with Jesus. But remove yourself from the path of bondage. Man, so many times I talk to people, and I have friends who are addicted to things that they shouldn't be addicted to, and we got a couple that are addicted to drugs, and I'll talk to them, and several of them have gone to this point where they're like, I just want Jesus. I just want Jesus. I'm going to believe in Jesus. And then they get to that point, and the next day they just run back to their drug, and they're like, God didn't work. We have to remove ourselves sometimes. Maybe that's not drastic for your life, but oftentimes I spend a whole bunch of time with students, and I know this is true in our age. Man, the phone is killing men and some women who are addicted to things on the phone that they should not look at. Leave it at that. And they continually look at it. And I've talked to several who are like, man, I just want freedom of that. It's killing me. It's killing my marriage. It's killing my future marriage. It's killing everything in me. I know it's wrong. And I'll say, walk me through that process. I know it's painful, but walk me through the process. Well, when I'm alone, I have a draw to it. When I'm asleep, when I'm going to bed, I have a draw to it. Okay, where's your phone? What's always with me? Where's it at night? What's on my pillow next to me? Okay, remove yourself from that. Put it somewhere else. Give it to your mama. Give it to your wife. Put it downstairs somewhere. And put it somewhere where you remove yourself from the path that is killing you. And that's just an example, but that's what I mean. Identify. We've talked about this before. Identify the roadblocks and remove yourself from them. Man, that's hard sometimes. Sometimes that's your neighbor. Sometimes that's your mama's. I don't know. I don't know where your pain comes from. But where does it come from? Identify that and remove it. Because, see, oftentimes we get to the place where we're like, man, I want to get off this track, and I hate this train. This train just keeps running me over day after day. It just runs me over. It just hits me every week or two, man. I get hit with a train. But we never move from the track. If we would just switch to the other track, we would get in Jesus' track, maybe, and we wouldn't be hit by that same train. But we don't do that. We forget that. And so what I'm saying is identify that thing and then begin to move yourself. Begin to maneuver yourself away from those things. Maneuver yourself away from that thing. There's a reason that this man got healed from Jesus and said, I want to go with you. We all would do that. But the other thing that Jesus said was, no, go back to your home. You know where he didn't go? He didn't go back to the graveyard. He never even asked. He never even thought about it. He was like, I'm never going back there. But yet, we always go back. Sometimes we always go back to the graveyard. And we sit in there and we wonder why we're not getting better. It's because we haven't identified that our mess is the graveyard. Or wherever our graveyard is, we never admit it. Or we never move it. Jesus has freed us. And we just simply need to leave the graveyard behind. We need to move it. And he was demon-possessed. He didn't wake up one day demon-possessed. He didn't decide on a Tuesday, you know what? I think I'm going to let 1,000 demons in me today. Sounds like a great plan. I'm going to have some Wheaties, and then I'm going to go down and get me some demons. He never do that.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Sounds scary. But what he did was he slowly let things into his life. He never removed himself from the path of bondage. And pretty soon he opened himself up and he had legions of demons in him. And he was psychotic for the rest of his life until he met Jesus. We can do the same thing. And oftentimes we just, maybe it's not demon-possessed, maybe it's not even harmful. Maybe it's just not growing in Jesus and things that are in our life that are keeping us from Jesus. But yet we are never satisfied, and we wonder, why aren't we satisfied? Why doesn't my job work give me satisfaction? Why doesn't my wife give me satisfaction, or my husband? Why don't my kids give me satisfaction? Why doesn't this, or what doesn't pool, whatever it is? Because we keep putting things in our life that aren't giving us, they're giving us a false satisfaction. So here's the thing, the last thing. Easy. Maybe put your faith in God. Put your faith in God's way. Simple. Simple to say, but it's just going in a different direction. The Bible says this, it says the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life. The Bible also says there's a way that seems right to a man, but in the end it leads to death. Where is your problem? And remove it and get on God's way. Because God's way can't change you. Maybe you're like, man, I've never jumped in full feet. I've never dove in. Maybe you're like what I would call stumbling. You're kind of just stumbling through faith, stumbling through life, and you're not all the way there yet. You'd like to be, but you're never there. But you keep Jesus at a distance, maybe because, those are for weird people, or your parents, or just when you get 50 or whatever it is you get, and maybe you're just put it at a distance. Man, I want to just encourage you with this analogy. I've just started going to Costco. We've talked about it. You love Costco. Costco is awesome. I hate shopping. I hate groceries. Costco is awesome. Like, you get to go to Costco and you get to eat food all day long. And like, most of them, maybe, probably shouldn't say this, but some of them don't speak English, and so they can't tell me to quit eating their food, so I just keep eating it. Until Susan's like, why are you hanging out at this section so much? I got free food, I like it. Man, it's incredible. They make the experience awesome, right? I mean, it's incredible. You can go there and you can buy a vacation. And you can buy a tire. You could buy 40 toothbrushes and 40 deodorants that last you forever. Like, you never run out. It's awesome. That's the shopping I like. But I hate shopping. Can't stand it. I don't like to go to the grocery store. I don't like it. Walmart's the worst. And man, I just don't like it. And forever, I was like, I hate shopping. But if Susan says, let's go to Costco, I'm going. And sometimes I'm like, man, now they have personal shoppers for you, so shopping's easy. But I think sometimes we look at the Christian life like that. We look at it as the grocery store and Walmart. Oh man, this is awful. And we never really jump in. But when you jump in, what you'll find is it's much like Costco. It's much better. It's much joyous moments where you get to enjoy and you get to see God do life change, and you get to see God give you satisfaction even in dark places. Even in dark moments, you can have joy. I love that song that you sang, and listening to the words and the seasons of life that God carries you through, because He can remove bondage. He can remove you from the season you're in. Just jump in His way. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to go Jesus' way. Man, I love it. I love it. Let Jesus be Lord of your life. Let Him lead and direct you. And I'm not going to use Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 this week because I've used it like 4 times in a row, 4 weeks in a row. But it's a great one. Right? It's great. And I'm trying not to use it, but it's great. Go look it up and read it. So, yeah. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understandings, but in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, and He will make your path straight. That's putting your faith in Jesus' way. I want to point out one thing at the end of this. I think it's just unique, and it's something we talk about often. I don't think we've talked about it in probably a couple months, but verse 18 says this. You can put it up there. As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him. That's what we'd all do. But Jesus said no. That's weird. I'm like, why would He tell him no? He said, go home to your family and tell them everything the Lord has done for you and how merciful He has been. So the man started off to visit the 10 towns of that region and began to proclaim the great things Jesus had done for him, and everyone was amazed at his story. He went to, the first 10 town he went to his home. That's what it said. Go back to your home and your friends. Go back to your family. And if you've been here long enough, you know where I'm going with this. That Greek word is oikos. It's your home, your family, your friend. And so we often preach oikos. And if you sit at the right table, there's an oikos card. And if you don't have one, it looks like this. And here's what I want you to encourage you. This is simply just a tool. But it's an oikos card. And what it is we want you to live, even if you've done it 5 times, listen to me. I need to do it again this week. Because mine changes often. Or changes some, because I've seen people come to Christ. And which is awesome. I'm loving it. But simply list people in your work, friends, your family, wherever you're at, wherever you hang, your neighborhood, who you think don't know Jesus, and simply pray for them, invest in their life, invite them, and then be ready for them to say, "Why do you believe in Jesus?" You give them an answer. It doesn't have to be 8 or 15. It could be 1. But I want to encourage you, take a card home, and start being sane like this man. Because the mission of God is to share with your oikos about Jesus. Share with your family, your friends, your work, your hood, wherever you live, about Jesus. That's our one goal, our one thing. It's the one thing that we can't do in heaven. It's the only thing besides sin that we won't do in heaven that we do here on earth. And that's share people about Jesus. Share with people about Jesus. So take a card home, write in it, begin to pray, and watch God do something. Because that's what He did. That's what Jesus commands everybody to do. If you read it, you read story after story. He didn't say, "Okay, come follow me every day of your life, and we'll travel like the rest of the 12. Most of the time, He said, "No, go home to your family. Go home to your household. Go home to your family. Go home to your household." That's just the Greek word oikos. So we use that because it's an easy term. We don't use Greek words very often, but we use that one because there's no identification of negativity, like tribe or village or whatever it is. It's just your oikos. You don't have to tell anybody they're on your oikos. You don't have to do any of that. You just have an oikos that we often talk about, but we don't want, we want you to use it as a tool. We all have oikos in our life that need Jesus. And so that's what that's for. And I love this story because that's what we're here for. We're here to see people come to know Christ. Man, we're slowly but surely seeing that. Last week we got to celebrate baptism, and that was an incredible moment. And I can't wait to do it again. And it's going to be soon. And I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. But that's why we're here. Because we want to see people come to Jesus. But we also want to see Jesus work in your life and heal you of your pain and your sickness and your hurts and your addictions. Man, let Him work in you. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to admit it. Don't be afraid to remove yourself. It may be hard for a moment, but in the long run, it's going to be great. And Jesus can change your life. As we wrap up, man, I want you to grab a card. I want you to take it home. I want you to fill it out. I want you to do that. I want you to commit to that.